Irina, and this is the theme of my PhD research, dynamic of subjects' personal development while overcoming learning difficulties. And Viktor Zaretsky is my research supervisor. So, I want to tell you about the history of my research, how it started. It is the beginning. Can you turn off the light? It would be better. On the third year of my education in university, I started my pedagogic practice in school. I know nothing about approaches to child development, and it was amazing for me. So I work in this place, and it's very dialectic, as you see. There are a lot of children who like to study and who do their homeworks, but the place where they is strange. It's a very small workplace, and this is the first problem which I faced with the educational system in Russia. We don't have enough resources to work with children, to help them to overcome their learning difficulties, and that's a real pity. So this is how I started. And the second problem that I saw was a position of teachers. There are three main problems for me. First, educational system in Russia, what that means. Not enough resources, and the position of teachers is based on authority of teacher. So if you are a child and you disagree with the teacher, if you want to have a question, if you want to argue, and this happens often while your education, you got a lot of problems because it's not good behavior in our schools, and it's a problem. And after some of such situations, such children are called difficult. It's labeling for undesirable children, or children who don't want to learn in such way in which a teacher told them to learn. They want to investigate science by themselves, but they can't, and they become difficult. In Russian, it's trudnaya. So this is the second problem for me. We're learning in school for 10 years, and while 10 years education, such difficult children get a lot of personal problems, and they can't solve them. And this is the focus of interest in my research. How do I work with such children? In that moment, I consciously met the reflexive activity approach, which is based on thesis of cultural historical theory. And these are the main principles of work with the children. You have already heard about these principles while Viktor Zaretsky was talking. At first is subjectivity or subjectness, I don't know how to say it in the right way. What does it mean? It means that in the process of interaction with the child, there is not only a teacher, there is a teacher and a child, and they act together, and they are both equal in the equal positions, and they try to overcome some difficulties. Very supportive notice, thank you.
Subjectness is right.
Subjectness, okay. So, a child have ability, he is able to make his learning as he see this process of learning. And this is the great resource for us because we don't have to work on the program of teaching, don't have to make child to do something. We just say, what do you want? What do you want to investigate? We can help you. How can we can help you? And the process goes on. And in this process, reflection is written in the incorrect form as well.
And it is kind of correct. Reflection.
Yes, I've already said. And reflect. Reflect. Okay. Well, this process, we try to reflect what is the main problem, the problem at the center. What is resources and how, what does actually child do, and what's wrong, what's correct, and how can he use his own resources to overcome these learning difficulties. And when he reflects this situation, he understands that the cause of some difficulties is different, and in his way it may be cognitive or personal, doesn't matter. And he is looking for resources which can help him to overcome these difficulties. And he is trying some techniques, some methods, how he can overcome these difficulties. And the goal of a teacher in this moment to help him to create such method that will help him to overcome these difficulties. Maybe not from first time, from a second. At first is an idea, then realization, then reflection, and we reflect, or was the result right, or we have a mistake, and then we go back and see what mistake was in the method, what we do wrong, and what we should change. And such a circle process help us to overcome our difficulties. And this process happening in zone of proximal development of a child. We don't work in a zone of actual development because it's wrong and its influence bad on the development of a child. It's not interesting to work with a material that he already knows. It's interesting to overcome complex tasks with the help of adult and to develop. And with the reflection he could do it, and his development steps in maybe 100 ways or maybe 5 ways. Doesn't mean, but it steps. So the great image, the great picture of such process can be shown by multivectoral model of zone proximal development. Here it is. Oh no, here it is. I'll say it. Multivectoral model of zone proximal development is that model that Viktor Kirillovich shows you. It's a lot of vectors and learning activity, problem epicenter. We overcome problem epicenter, and steps in all the planes of abilities are available. What's this? What happens when a child overcomes his difficulties? He becomes active. Active and consciousness is two conditions for subjectness, for subjective position. And it is one of the main things. He becomes motivated in his education. He becomes interested in his learning process. because he becomes independent subject of his own learning activity, and he tried to transfer these methods from a learning activity to all spheres of his life, and in this way it's development not only in cognitive sphere but in all others. With the help of overcoming learning difficulties, children can overcome their personal problems. For example, learning helplessness. So, what's the theme of my research? What I'm trying to do? Here it is, multivector model. In my practice, I noticed that the causes of learning difficulties are really different. They may lay in different planes, and a lot of causes may lay in personal sphere. It may be bad relations with the teacher, it may be low self-esteem, etc. A lot of, you can imagine by yourself. So, my idea of research is to watch the process of overcoming learning difficulties and to notice the vectors of development, how development is happening on each vector, and how does these vectors connect to each other. So actually I want to measure development of a child, and I want to try to do this with this model. So there are issues for me. How can I measure development? So if I have lessons with a child, I write down what is happening between us, and I can see what is he talking about, what is his reflexive about, what changes are from session to session, how does he change, how does he develop, and this helped me to understand what vectors of development appears while we learn. But it's a real question for me how to analyze the steps on each vector. Maybe it's neoformations, so we can see the vectors and we can see the all neoformations on each vector. It's the one question. Second, and how to divide these vectors, how to divide personal and learning changes. It's really hard to divide some abilities. They are too close to each other and connected to each other, and this is a question for me. The third is how to analyze the connection between vectors. For example, subjectiveness is the main resource for child to develop, and it is also the vector of development. How does this vector help other vectors to develop, to have steps and neoformations? It's a question. What helps child to overcome personal problems? What is the mechanism of transferring the overcoming of learning difficulty to overcoming the personal problem? What is this mechanism? It's the question for me. Maybe I'll have an answers while this summer school, maybe no. So I have a few years to make my research, and I hope that I'll have an answers. That's all. Thank you.